Hey, welcome to AIT. We are running a fabric measuring and inspection machine this morning, doing a customer trials and running some test fabrics in order to demonstrate how things work. So I'll give you a chance to take a look at the fabric that we're running through here and a little bit of the application. Fundamentally, this KK series inspection machines are available in 3 different styles and widths from 63 inches out to 120. The central features that are the same on all machines is we have a rewind cradle in the front, so you can see the fabric is being accumulated in the front of the machine. This is called surface winding. So it has a surface unwind back here and rewind in the front. By surface, I just mean that there's no core chucks or anything through the core of the fabric here. There's just rollers that the fabric sit in. And the great thing about that is it doesn't matter the core size that you start with or you finish with. The speed of the surface rollers dictate your speed. So back to the front, you can see we have both top and bottom lights on for inspection here. So you can turn one off versus the other and run just backlit or just front lit, or actually you can dim them, each one of them too. So there's a lot of options that Frank is demonstrating here. Depending on the fabric, this fabric works pretty good with backlit because it's somewhat see-through. So it's obvious what's happening here, but the gist of it is behind or on the surface of the fabric, we've got a tachometer or a counter, and then that is adjustable, as Frank is showing. So we're able to apply different tension, less or more on it. And the so what of that is for accuracy, but also some fabrics that may cause them to momentarily crease. So we've got adjustability there. And then the rewind, well, we come down and rewind on the roll that you see building in front of us. So again, surface rewind, and we've got edge plates that keep the core from walking. And then this whole rewind carriage, if you will, is on, you have edge guides. So you're looking at the edge sensor now to be able to move the fabric back and forth. So like Frank is showing you, the fabric comes out of the edge, and lo and behold, that whole carriage moves in order to make a nice straight roll here that you're accumulating. So those are the things that are going on with the equipment from the outside that you see. The centralized control panel's got another set of features. One, up at the top right hand corner, you can see numbers accumulating. Of course, that's in yards. Those are linear yards. You can set that in meters, but this is in yards. And then along the way, we can set a stop point. It has 150 up there right now, but you can set it to 150. And well, it's set to 150, and then Frank is showing us you can set that to 50. It'll run 50 yards here on the rewind and then abruptly stop and wait for the next interaction. Up here at the front, you saw Frank adjusting the lights and the dimness and the on and off. So those are the onboard adjustments here that you can see. And then you can do a number of other things. Frank can show us how, if you wanted to count in meters, you can switch this over. If you stop and then you go to the settings, go to a secret password, double, triple secret password, Then you can come over here and change from meters to yards, whatever works for your application. So there's a ton of capability in this new flat screen controller on being able to make adjustments on the machine, obviously count the yardage or meters, stop points, and then now Frank's demonstrating what you can do is pre-program in some flaws that maybe they're typical for your fabric, so dirty, hole in it, or I don't know, you name what could happen to fabric. You can pre-program these buttons that he just showed you. They show up here, and then as you're running along and the operator sees a problem in the fabric, so they visualize it here, then they simply touch the appropriate button, and you can see this logs a point within the roll from a yardage standpoint of the air. So we'll do some more running here so that you can see the operation. Yeah, these inspection machines, as I mentioned, come in a variety of widths. Well, they come from 63 inches out to 120. This is a heavy duty one, so this will hold up to a 300-pound roll. From a utility standpoint, there's just one connection, that's electrical. So Frank has this hooked up. It's 220 volt single phase. It's really a simple connection. You can see here on our serial plate, this is pulling some 16 amps. Now, we have larger machines, so we have machines that go out to 120 inches, but really the amp draw is not going to be that much different, maybe a little bit larger motors. The other thing that's here from a capability standpoint is, you see this roll, well, the sun is coming on in here, you see this roll paying off from, I'll say, the top. If you wanted to reverse that on the operator control panel that Frank was showing you, you can pay off the bottom. You can have that reverse. You know, fabrics come in all different kinds of weights, styles, and features. So you have the adjustability to be able to make that change in unwinding and rewind. I'm going to take a peek here. Here's a little sensor here that you might not notice, but basically that sensor is making sure that there's fabric here, and in the event that you run out of fabric, of course, then that will turn off the machine and keep it from running. Okay, more about the inspection machines, and particularly this part is going to go in depth in the controls. But as you recall, we rewind the roll in the front in the cradle. There's the edge guide, so we're building a nice straight roll. And before we go to the controls, let me just say here, there's an adjustment so that you can build a tighter roll here. So this onboard adjustment, as Frank is demonstrating, can give you the ability for a looser roll on the core or a tighter roll on the core, and that doesn't have anything to do with the relationship between the driven rewind cradle and unwind cradle in the back that you can't quite see. That's separate. So now zooming in on the controls, I'm just going to go ahead and put it in stop mode so we can look in depth here. But just quickly, up here we're accumulating the number of linear, in this case yards, that on the roll. We can put in a preset stop point if we want it to stop at 50 yards. Here's the lights, kind of obvious, but turning the lights on and off. In fact, I think the video is better with the lights off, but you do have 3 different capabilities there to dim and turn the backlight off and on, etc. So lots of onboard controls there. And obviously you can start here. This is a start point. This is a manual adjustment of the edge guide if you want to drive the cradle this way or that way on the front part. And then you could rewind. So if you started a roll here and you wanted to put it back on the unwinding, you can push that and drive it in reverse. So Frank's going to show us a little bit about these points here and explain what they're all about. Frank?
We have our multiple locations for your faults. Your faults are going to be a hole, a stretch, fabric discoloration, whatever you're wanting for faults. And in order for us to get to these, we're going to go into our settings. We're going to go into our fault definition. We already have these listed, and we're going to come press the button there, and we're going to name the next one is going to be
Was there a
color.
hole? Color? Yeah, color would be good.
So we've got color. Press enter. Now we have it injected into the fault menu. Now we have it listed.
So in that case, what's happening is as the roll is running and the operator sees a problem, whether it's a hole or a color issue or some of these other faults, they have these touch buttons that they're able to make note of that flaw at that position
without having to stop its roll.
That's
you can
true.
Do this continuously.
So in fact, if I restart this and it's accumulating, and you just saw, you know, there's a hole in the fabric right now,
and it tells you exactly where it was when you saw the hole.
everything's okay here at AIT. We just have some people doing some work.
We've got a color. We've got color. Spot color was wrong at 3.45. So when we go back into the material, we know where our faults are, and you can work around that material and utilize your material to its fullest.
True, everyone's different here. Some people just mark the flaw or fault with the fabric, or others put a flag on the fabric as it's going through, etc. So that's completely up to you. What about electronically would be cool here?
Yeah, as you're doing this and you're listing your stuff, it's automatically recording, and when you're done, you press record, and it finishes out everything that you've done. And then back on the back, you have a USB, which then you're going to take to your system, and notate what problems you have with your fabric. If you have to deal with the mill, you know, you have everything listed out according to each roll.
So, in fact, what's happening here that Frank's talking about is we get an electronic file that's saved on that USB thumb drive, and it'll have on there the particular fabric roll and then the flaws that are at various locations and the overall length and results. So you've got an onboard electronic CVS file that's generated to be able to make electronic versions of that. Okay.
You can also let's go to our settings in here.
Settings, there's a lot here.
You know, also, yeah, we'll get into the directions of that stuff in a second, but let's go to where I want to go. I want to go here. I want to reset my report and meter. Now that I've done that, it says, okay, I'm ready to put in a new product. So I'm going to put in the same product that we have. I'm just going to write it in.
So right here, really what you're doing, we say new product definition, it's a new roll. So we've got...
It's a new roll. It can be a new roll of black scrim, or it can be a new roll of t-shirt material. So whatever you're wanting that you're going to record and you're going to document everything that's listed is going to be under this product definition. So you'll have to change this all the time to keep up with your products that you're running.
That's true. So we could have roll of black scrim number 1, that is that particular roll or the roll number that came from the manufacturer. Meanwhile, just to show you, we're doing some cleanup here at AIT, so someone is throwing some stuff in the dumpster. It's giving us a nice kind of keeping our heart rate up. Okay, so new product definition, you're really just entering this particular roll.
And then we also have an invoice number. We're going to press record. It takes us back to our screen and it shows us that we're dealing with black scrim, and then of course our invoice number. So then now that when we start our roll, obviously it's counting, and then we have a fault. We press it. So everything's listed according to your material, your invoice number. You have lots of ways to control each specific roll.
Okay. What about those turn the rolls a different position?
Depending on how your fabric comes rolled up, if it rolls in which you want to count it and re-roll it backwards or roll it back up forwards, you can change the direction of your front rollers, which are right here in the front, or you can change the direction of your rear rollers.
No, I didn't think about that. I know some fabrics you rewind them from the outside, but you can also change it right here.
Correct. You can change it to where you're rolling from outside in or inside out, and you can, and it all depends on how you lay the material. Just to say you lay the material on the back of the machine, and you don't want to pick it up because you need two people. Well, you can just press the button here and it'll reverse it for you, and it'll still run properly in the front.
Killer. Hey, one other thing I forgot to mention too, the USB drive that we see back here, Frank's got that just in the back there, so that'll work well for some, I don't know, operations. In others, we do have this onboard kind of safety box that you can keep that in to be able to keep your results secure. The other thing that's an option on this equipment is to get a network version of that. So you don't have to have the USB drive. You can have this connected to your network and store it up right on the network. Trying to think of last minute things here. You know, I think when I got started, I failed to mention, you can see some other adjustments here on the front. This one's kind of obvious, so you can rewind at breakneck speed faster than you can see things, but some people have the luxury of being able to run high speeds. The other thing here is we've got a speed dial called fabric tension, and this gives you the ability to offset the speed between the front cradle and the back cradle. So normally here, if you were just running 1-to-1, you'd set this at 5. I know our lighting's not that good, but if you want the tighter, tighter tension on the front, you just turn that down, and you do this while you're running to just make sure that your fabric is accumulating correctly. So, yeah, just a quick overview of the KK series machines. We have heavy duty, we have lightweight, we even have flat fold versions of these.